Hey everyone, and welcome to Thebeatdown!
Alright you guys, welcome back to our channel. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Impact as much as we did. I don't know about you, but I definitely liked today's episode more than last week's episode. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. This episode of Impact was way better. Much more storylines advanced.
This episode was more filled with actual content and less moments of the week, and that's something that we love. Impact Wrestling started us off with a bang. Heath is not gonna make it to the Impact roster because he was not able to beat Moose.
But I mean, technically he did beat him, but the referee was just taking a nap.
But I mean, that doesn't count, you know? If the referee didn't call it, it didn't happen.
So my question is, did Moose do it on purpose? Because to me it kind of looked like it just happened to be an accident, right? The ref just happened to be in that corner when he got knocked out.
I mean, you know how these refs are nowadays. They make them scrawnier each year.
Are we going to see a rematch next week? Or what's Heath going to say? What's going to be his way in to get another rematch or to win a spot on the roster?
Or is something gonna happen with Scott D'Amore and he's just gonna say, screw it, you get a contract?
Yeah, I'm wondering how that's gonna work. I really hope that Heath does get a chance on the roster. I think this was unfair for him because technically he did pin Moose 1, 2, 3. He should be the new TNA champion, and he's not.
All I know is Moose got the win and I'm happy. I mean, he's a good competitor too, but you know me, man, Moose Nation.
So I'm gonna give it a thumbs up.
Me too.
Because it was a good match and I'm happy to see that Heath was in the ring.
And I mean, I guess you could say, you know, when creating, you know, with wrestling and stuff like this, the fans always predict something's gonna win. So I'll be honest, I know Moose has been on a winning streak lately. I thought this was gonna be the one time Moose loses because, come on, why wouldn't Heath get the contract? Everybody wants Heath, you know, Impact knows that everybody wants Heath. Why wouldn't it happen? But they threw us a curveball because it didn't happen.
That's true. I think everyone was expecting Heath was gonna win a spot on the roster, so it was kind of like a nice curveball that Impact threw at us just to keep us on our toes.
And it's interesting because technically Heath can say that he did pin Moose, but he didn't secure the victory. So it's like Heath got his way in a way, and Moose got his way.
Impact did let us know that in 2 weeks they're gonna be bringing back their little pay-per-view specials on television. They're gonna bring a show called Emergence, and the first match we're gonna get is gonna be Deonna versus Jordynne Grace. But we all know who's gonna win. Deonna!
So EC3 sent out a warning to Moose that he is coming after that champion. I gotta say, I really love the way that EC3 does his promos. They're very cinematic, very much like if you're watching a trailer for an action movie. His promos are simple, but they look like high budget. It's simply EC3 in front of a stone wall, but you gotta notice the way he speaks, his facial expressions, everything about it. He's just in character. You can tell he is enjoying controlling his narrative, and I really like that. Another thing I noticed about EC3's promos is he kind of reminds me a lot of, I don't know if it's just me, you guys can comment down below if you agree or disagree with me, but he reminds me of like V for Vendetta or the anonymous hacker group. You know what I mean? Do you get that?
Nah, not really.
I think you need to rewatch his promos. I don't know, but to me it seems like kind of like some V for Vendetta vibes or like some anonymous vibes.
I do like how he's building his own narrative. He is really taking control of who he wants his character to become. And I think that's very important, especially when he goes up against Moose.
Right. That's going to be a really good match.
He did declare that he's going to go after the Impact Championship, but it seems like he's actually more interested in going after Moose. So it's kind of interesting. Will he be the one to dethrone him? I hope he does.
I mean, That's questionable even for myself, being a big Moose fan. I'm gonna have to think about that.
EC3 promo gets a thumbs up. One thing that I liked about this week's episode was the in-ring segment that we got with the Motor City Machine Guns. Impact Wrestling never really does in-ring segments, and it's kind of interesting that they're doing them now that there isn't a crowd. And I think in-ring segments are very important because when the wrestlers are talking in the middle of the ring, they're getting the crowd's reaction, or they're either getting booed, cheered, and I think that's very important. I like how Impact is practicing these in-ring segments so that hopefully when COVID is done and they get back to the live audience, they can do more of these, because I'm so used to Impact doing backstage segments that I think that now that I'm seeing in-ring segments, I really like them. It puts the spotlight on the wrestlers and gives them a moment to shine.
Right.
And we saw the Motor City Machine Guns take advantage of that. I think it looked really cool how they were in the middle of the ring and the spotlight was on them.
When the Motor City Machine Guns had their spotlight in the ring, they called out no other than the North.
And you know what? It was really weird for me to see that the North doesn't have their titles and the Motor City Machine Guns have them. It's just weird. Like I got used to seeing the North with the titles around their waist, that they look kind of like something missing on them.
Digging deeper underneath the surface, let's talk about their, since you mentioned their skit in the ring, let's talk about their acting as their characters. Now, one thing I noticed, the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley, at the beginning of his segment, I noticed that he was just very serious, no facial expression. He was just talking, saying, yeah, I beat you, but he wasn't enthusiastic about it. He was just very dull about it. Now then, when Ethan Page came in with Josh Alexander, you could see the emotion in Ethan Page.
It kind of reminds me of how when you're dull, when we're making this show, and you're so monotone speaking. So I hope you're taking notes and you avoid being like him.
Fool. You better not put down the YouTube video.
What's going on there?
Ethan Page was just so emotional, yelling into the mic. You could see it in his face. Kind of the way you could see it in my face right now.
That's actually true. I do like how Ethan Page is taking this. He's like taking it really bad and I like it. He's kind of being like a crybaby.
Last week, he was being a crybaby. This week, he got it together and, you know, he's ready for that rematch that they just announced that's also coming on Emergence.
That's true. They're going to go up against the Motor City Machine Guns again for the titles in 2 weeks in Emergence.
Motor City Machine Guns and the North skit in the ring.
Thumbs up. We got a segment in the back with my favorite knockout, Deonna Purrazzo. She is going to be using Kimberlee to weaken Jordynne Grace, which I think is a very smart tactic from Deonna Purrazzo's part.
I have to disagree with you, because if you ask me, I already don't like her. Now what she just did is making me think she's all talk.
She's being smart. She is a good champ, and why should she have to work harder than she has to? She already knows she's better than Jordynne, so why not weaken her so that in 2 weeks when they fight for the title, she doesn't have to work hard. We already know she's a champ and she's good.
I mean, she's a new champ. She doesn't have a long history of being champ, like for example Taya Valkyrie, who say she was champion for over a year. Now the reason I didn't like this is the virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo accepted from Kimberlee that Kimberlee is going to take care of Jordynne. Now I think that hurts Deonna's image. Deonna is basically Tessa's replacement. I don't know what it is about them, but to me they look alike. Their ring gear is kind of similar. I don't know, to me they just remind me of each other. If you ask me, that's a lot of expectations to live up to. And I think it just makes her weak that she's accepting a deal from someone that she beat. I don't think she needs the help. If she's all virtuosa like she says she is, I don't think she should need anyone's help taking out anybody. I think she should just say, hey, I think she should have said, you know what, I don't need your help. Because that's the kind of character that I think she is.
I do see why Kimberlee is being put into the storyline, because she just recently got signed to Impact. So we were just talking about this last week, that Kimberlee hasn't really had any opportunities to kind of shine. She hasn't been involved in any storylines, but this is her way of getting in so that people can get to know her, get to like her.
That's very true. I'm excited to see that. I really want to see her in the ring more, and I want to see her doing more.
So this is her shot to show what she has, and we're gonna see. Hopefully she's able to capitalize on it, and she's able to show what she has.
So we give this promo
thumbs up,
thumbs down,
because Deonna
shouldn't have accepted the deal. Alright, you guys, last week we were talking about how characters come in and out of Impact. They take little breaks, little mini vacations, or they give time for other characters to have spotlight and matches on camera. So that's what we're seeing here. We've got two sets right now. We've got the Impact Zone and we've got Wrestle House. For example, Kylie Rae is the #1 contender still. However, she's not in the Impact Zone, and we see in Wrestle House that she's eager to get back to the Impact Zone. So while Kylie Rae is stuck in Wrestle House, we see Jordynne Grace is gonna get her rematch against the Virtuosa. That's pretty cool how they have two sets going on within one show, if you ask me.
Last week I actually said that I didn't like Wrestle House because it was just kind of random. But this week I actually liked how we got an advancement in the Johnny Bravo storyline. He actually now has a conflict with Rosemary and Taya. Who is he gonna choose? And I like that little spark that we're getting. It's actually making the show watchable for me now, because I actually want to know what's gonna happen. What does he want to ask Rosemary? What does Rosemary want to ask? Why does Taya want Johnny? Does she have a crush on him, or what's going on?
Seems to me like you just like the Wrestle House drama, which is what it is. It's a reality show within a wrestling show. So it's serving its purpose.
I do like the drama. I enjoy the drama, which is probably why I actually liked when Rosemary went up against Kylie. Because it was drama, that Rosemary was mad at Kylie because she's putting her spoon where it doesn't belong. So for me personally, as long as they keep adding some conflict, some drama, which I think what I like, because that's what made me actually pay attention to it.
Another thing I like is the kind of relationship we're getting between Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary. So we see kind of like a frenemy situation where they're both kind of fighting because they both want Johnny Bravo, obviously for different reasons, which Rosemary's intentions are still unknown, coming from the undead realm. But I really like the whole frenemy connection where, you know, Taya was counting slow when Rosemary was getting pinned, but when Rosemary was pinning, she would count faster. So it's cool. It's kind of like that love-hate relationship between them. Who knows what's gonna happen?
It was interesting, and that part where Taya counted slow for Kylie was actually kind of interesting, and I guess I'm just drawn to the drama. I think Wrestle House has the potential to go up from a thumbs down for my part last week to a thumbs up.
For me, it stays at a thumbs up.
I really like how Ace Austin is having this rivalry with the Good Brothers. It just seems to get better every single week. This week we saw that Ace set up the Good Brothers and made it seem like they were drinking outside of their truck in the parking lot, which was when the cops came in and they were like, hey, you're not allowed to do this. So we saw the Good Brother, one of them, get arrested, and I thought it was interesting because Ace is just so smart. He's so sneaky. It just goes with his character, and he's doing a good job at getting underneath the skin of the Good Brothers, and it just gets me excited for when they finally get in the ring. I'm gonna remember these little things, and it's just gonna build up towards a good match.
It's gonna make the match even better. And I get what you mean, you know, Ace Austin, he's a magician, he's a trickster, and that's what he does. He plays mind games. He does illusion, you know, a magician would do an illusion, but he just plays mind games, and he gets straight into their mind, and he really knows how to tackle it well.
I don't know, I guess that's how he made those beer cans appear outside of the trucks.
Magic.
Hopefully we get more of these backstage segments between Ace and the Good Brothers, because I like them. And as long as they keep doing stuff like this, it's gonna keep getting a thumbs up for me.
Yeah, it's very cool because I remember first, you know, when it was Ace versus Eddie Edwards, you know, or Ace versus everyone, he had the whole "I just banged your wife" thing going, and now he's got the setting stuff up like that. So it's pretty cool. They're keeping it fresh. He's not banging the Good Brothers' wives or anything, but
yet.
Going back to passionate wrestlers who really get into character, Sammy Callihan is another one that he's just always in character. He's always that bad guy. You could see his facial expressions all the time. I actually liked this week's flashback. It was a member from the current roster who is a fresh face to new viewers, and like I said, I just rather them use flashbacks that are more recent than to use legends or wrestlers that were like from 10 years ago. So talking about Sammy Callihan, we had his match versus Eddie Edwards,
and I really liked how RVD attacked him.
It was awesome. It was awesome. I loved it.
And you know what? I really liked how Sammy was the opponent this week, because I wasn't expecting them to put Sammy against Eddie Edwards. I was expecting another jobber, someone to just come in and lose, you know, like not someone that you were really gonna take seriously like Trey last week. Like we knew he wasn't gonna win, but this week there was actually a threat. Like there was potential for Sammy to win, and I really liked that because it made it seem like Eddie was gonna lose. I actually did think he was gonna lose,
despite the fact that he walked into the match kind of handicapped. And that's another thing you gotta admire about Sammy Callihan. He limped to the ring and said that he still wanted to wrestle, regardless of just being ambushed by RVD and Katie Forbes.
You know what though? I'm kind of disappointed that we didn't get another little storyline progression between RVD and Sammy. I was really looking forward to it after last week's segment where Sammy put his little head on Katie's pictures. I really wanted to see where that was gonna continue. But I guess it's just kind of, they're doing it on purpose to kind of want you to want more.
Right, exactly. And going back to the match, I think Eddie Edwards shines the brightest when he's put up against challenging competitors like Sammy Callihan. I love seeing, I don't like all of Eddie Edwards' matches. For example, I didn't like the one with Trey because it was too easy. Obviously, you've got like heavyweight Eddie Edwards versus a lightweight or an X division Trey Miguel. But when he's up against somebody like Sammy Callihan, that's when you can tell that they give it their all.
You know, one thing that was going through my head when this match was going on, I was just wondering, because I don't think that we had seen Sammy versus Eddie in a match after Sammy hit Eddie Edwards with the baseball bat. So I was just in my back of my head, I was just thinking, like, I wonder if Eddie's kind of worried, like, if the same thing's gonna happen. Which brings us to the next point of Sammy got a chair and he was gonna hit Eddie Edwards with it. And I was just thinking, did he put it back because he didn't want another accident to happen? Because the first time when he hit Eddie Edwards with the bat, that was a real accident and he really did hurt him. So I was just wondering, like, Sammy having remorse, like he didn't want to use the weapon because he didn't want to hurt him.
Or he just didn't want to get disqualified.
That too, it was a title match, so he probably didn't want to lose.
But did you notice, okay, obviously when Sammy got the chair, Eddie Edwards was not paying attention to Sammy. He was down in the ring, he was down and out. And once Sammy got in the ring with the chair, the ref said put the chair down, or I don't know what the ref said, but the ref said the word chair. And I noticed that as soon as Eddie Edwards heard that, he reacted. He was like, oh shit, what's about to happen? And that just shows you, like, Eddie Edwards has to be traumatized from that, But he's still doing what he loves, wrestling. He doesn't stop even though he went through that experience.
At the beginning of the match, I really thought that Eddie Edwards was gonna win after using his special against Sammy. And I would have been so disappointed if he had won like 20 seconds into the match. I'm really glad that didn't happen. But that just shows you how Impact is just keeping you guessing at what they're gonna do next.
That's right.
The match for me gets a thumbs up. Rohit, the guy getting lost in the shuffle. I think he must have seen my episode last week because he came in with a new theme song, and I like that. I like that he's separating himself from the Desi Hit Squad. Not that they sucked, but now that he's a
They
singles...
totally sucked, dude. Let's not sugarcoat it. They sucked.
Now that he's a singles wrestler, he's setting himself apart, and I think a theme song change is very important. It just gives him that bang. It gives him that new, fresh feeling. It still kind of sounds similar to his roots of the old song, but it's kind of like an updated version, like, hey, I'm here to kick some butt. Another thing, you know, last week I said that I didn't like how Rohit was kind of sucking up to Bay, but this week I kind of like seeing them work together. I kind of think that it's good that Rohit's kind of trying to get close to Bay to kind of push his status up, right? Because right now he's at the bottom of the food chain, and he's kind of using Bay to go up, to build his popularity. Just like Bay used Johnny Swinger to go up in the ranks. I think that Rohit took notes on what Bay did and how he became champion, and how he's doing something similar. And on the other hand, Fallah and TJP, this is one thing I don't like about tag team wrestling, when they just put two random wrestlers together and then they put Fallah and TJP. If you guys are gonna become a tag team and stay at tag team, you need to come up with a name and a theme song. Like, make a brand for both of you guys, because I really hate how you guys use your wrestling name. I want you guys to make a tag team name, because I think it's gonna give you guys more credibility.
A sign of union. Because the North, when it was just Ethan Page and Josh Alexander, I mean, that's kind of, you know, even the North itself, the name, the North, I didn't like it at first. But I feel like with time, it started to suit them because they created the North.
And you know what? That's a great example that you bring up. If the North got introduced as Ethan Page and Josh Alexander, it doesn't sound as good as the North. So again, I'm just saying they need to come up with a name for their tag team, especially because you know what? This week in the ring, I'm actually not a big fan of TJP and Fallah, but this week in the ring, I actually saw them giving it their all. I saw TJP busting some good moves, and I saw Fallah moving left, right, all over the ring. So I think that they're actually kind of trying harder now. So TJP, Fallah, Impact, Access Anthem. If you guys are watching this, give TJP and Fallah a name, would you please? I'm gonna give this a thumbs up, because not only is TJP and Fallah progressing and becoming better, but I'm actually kind of liking Bay and Rohit working together. The last segment that we got was a disappointing one. We found out that Swann is gonna be retiring, and I really felt his speech really got to me, especially when the wrestlers came out to the ring and they were applauding and they were banging on the ring.
It's just sad because Swann, everybody loves Swann. I bet you there's not one fan out there that does not like Swann. When Swann comes into the ring, and unfortunately he hasn't done it anymore, but he used to come in dancing, and I know you remember every time we go watch it live, everybody in the audience starts clapping, they all start dancing, everybody gets hyped up for Swann, and it kind of sucks that we're no longer gonna be seeing him anymore. And Swann, you know, you remember when we went to go see him live, we saw him go into the bathroom and we were like, yo, we want to get a picture with him. And you know, we caught him when he was on his way out, and he took a picture with us. He took 2 pictures with us. He took 1 picture with me and 1 picture with him. And Swann, he was just he was a crowd pleaser like that.
I'm really sad to hear that he's gonna retire. I'm just wondering, is it real though? Because Eric Young attacked him at the end.
Right, that was very disrespectful.
So
if you don't hate Eric Young right now after today, or if you didn't hate him already, I'm like, you better hate him now, because he just did that to Swann.
Yeah, that move came out of nowhere for him to attack him.
The funny thing is, I noticed that Eric Young actually wasn't one of them. So I was kind of curious, is Eric Young about to come out as well? Is he gonna come out and say something? But he didn't come out and say something. He came out and made a statement without saying anything.
So I'm gonna give this segment a thumbs up because it was a good farewell speech and because it opens a possibility for him not really retiring. You know what? What if his last match is gonna be Rich Swann versus Eric Young? And maybe that's what they're setting up.
I mean, another thing, remember last week you were just saying that Rich Swann catches you by surprise. You know, like we didn't expect him to come out on Slammiversary as one of the, you know, as one of the competitors, but he did. We didn't even know that he had recovered, but he did. So I don't know. I hope he doesn't retire. I mean, if he does for his health, then you know that's something he has to do. But hopefully he catches us by surprise and gets everybody dancing again.
Yeah, I really hope it's a little curveball part of the storyline. It's hard to tell right now. They're really doing a good job at convincing me that he's gonna retire.
Question of the week: what was your favorite part of this week's Impact Wrestling episode? Comment down below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. And we'll see you next time on
The Beatdown!